All right, this is just a quick down and dirty video of the ALC42 from Kato. This has an ESU 58741 board in it. And before I try putting this all back together, which with any luck will all fit back together, this is the second one I've done. The first one was just a pre-production or production sample that I threw together without any extra lighting. It's over here. I'm going to make a couple changes to it, actually. So use your ESU 58741 board. There's a little 15 by 8 speaker and housing where the wires come up right next to the motor right there. Now what I've done is I've taken wired 0402 LEDs and I've tapped into the red marker lights for the front. There's really not any place to do it from the back, so I didn't even bother back there. And also, are you really going to be running red marker lights on the back of the locomotive, even if the unit's in reverse? Probably not. Separate alternating ditch lights. I cut off the ditch light tubes and I heat shrunk them on there with some thin heat shrink tubing. And so what we've done is we've tapped into auxiliary 3 and 4 for your ditch lights. 5 controls, is it 3, 4, 5? Yeah, 5 now controls the red marker lights. So when this unit is in reverse, if it's, in push mode, those red lights should go on. Now the red, or the engine compartment is controlled by, this would be orientation of this board. This would be function 1, function 2 for these lights. So this would be function 1. Function 2 isn't used back here. Let me just look at my diagram. Or aux 2, I'm sorry. Aux 1, aux 2. But this board is flipped and reversed. So the rear of the board, so this would actually be aux 2. Okay. And so the other thing I forgot to note in the previous video, there's this hump in here you need to cut out so that board will fit. Now, if you're trying to figure out how to get the shell off, there's 2 tabs on here that hold it on. You're going to have the front left glass tab or plastic tab, and then the rear right has a tab. The other 2 are blind. So those are where you need to kind of, flip this underneath and work back behind this gray skirting. I usually just use either a dull X-Acto knife blade, or you can even use a wooden toothpick and you loosen it up. So I'm going to try to get this guy all together and function map the lighting and see what happens, assuming this thing doesn't blow up with all this extra lighting in it. So that's all I got. Anywho, stay tuned. Continuing on with the ALC42, I have this guy all back together, and surprisingly he works. So I did some function mapping here. So right off the bat, he's on my test track, or my programming track. I have a forward headlight on. It's kind of hard to see. It's washed out here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put on F6. That's going to give you your 2 ditch lights. I'm going to give it some, well, actually I can do this without sound. We got the grade crossing wigwigs. I'm going to see if I can see what I can do about that forward headlight. And so anyways, we got that. Prime mover sound. F5 is going to be the engine compartment light. I relocated over my original sample. It's a bit brighter. It's washed out here. It's hard to see, but what they did was they actually printed on here a little bit of blue dots and what have you to give it a bluish tinge. It's actually kind of cool. And so we're just going to move this forward just a hair. Not that it's going to matter, but I'm going to reverse it. And I set that up so it has red marker lights in reverse. And of course that'll eventually go off my track. But anyways, there you go. So I got to see if I can find a better way to do this. But in order to get the brightness up of the forward headlight, I'm taking aux 2 and I'm putting an LED, soldering it on the pads. The problem is with the surface mount LEDs is they're actually opposing, and the top is bottom and bottom is top. So I had to flip this guy upside down and solder bridge him. So it's not pretty, and there's got to be an easier way of doing this, but we'll find out. All right, continuing on with the ALC42 charger from Amtrak. This is after Obviously, this is the one on the track is the one with upgraded lighting, and it has separate alternating ditch lights, red marker lights, and what have you. I just happen to have some Amtrak Superliner cars here that came with the set that they came out with. So I just tossed those on there for good measure. All the units in the back, the GS4s and RDCs and ST40s and 40-2s are actually done. I need to do a proof of life video, but that can wait. So what I have here is ALC42s with ESU LokSound installed. It takes a 58741 board. It's got a 15x8 speaker and 3D printed housing, and then I went back and I added extra lighting, so it's got room interior or engine compartment lights in it. It's got separate alternating flashing ditch lights. It's got a new headlight on it, or another surface mount LED soldered to the board to get that, and then it's got red marker lights. It's got ESU's S0837, that's for Siemens ALC42 sound file. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fire this up. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to hit, you can see where the headlights are a lot brighter on there, although they still probably come out pretty washed out in here. So, you know, obviously that's your headlight. And then checking my notes here, we're going to go 8 to give it some sound. We're going to go F5, gives it the engine compartment light. You can actually see it there since I relocated it versus the first version of this thing. And give the ditch lights. And so these alternate, so ding dong. I actually went on YouTube and watched some videos of the prototype ones from Coaster Fan, and saw some of those and went, I can probably replicate that. If you throw it in reverse, red marker lights, as I discussed earlier. Obviously, you can turn off the rear headlight that you see shining on the Superliner, and the red marker lights will stay on. You can still toggle that off just by hitting F6. But neither here nor there. And so, without further ado, here's some wonderfully craptastic videos. All right, and so there you go, ALC42 with ESU LokSound installed. I'm going to do a bunch of these for Lombard, not with the extra lighting in them, but they will certainly have ESU LokSound. They will have the engine room compartment for rear headlight. As a premium service, I'm offering the alternating ditch lights and rear marker lights. I'll probably do up a bunch of Superliner car sets, or these sets like that, and install interior lighting and maybe put red marker lights in some of them. I don't know. I got a small stack that I got here for myself, so maybe I'll do those too. I don't know. But yeah, there you go. Thanks for watching. Have a great evening.